Welcome back to CyberInsider. For the better part of 2 decades, if you asked any cybersecurity expert what the gold standard for VPN connections was, the answer was almost always the same: OpenVPN. It was the trusted, battle-tested, open-source protocol that powered the privacy industry. It was the backbone of secure internet browsing. But today, the winds are shifting dramatically. We're seeing a major exodus that might just mark the end of an era. Two of the biggest names in the privacy space, Proton VPN and Mullvad, have announced significant moves to distance themselves from OpenVPN. One is cutting off support for older configurations, and the other is scraping the protocol entirely. This raises a massive question that we need to answer today. Is OpenVPN becoming a security risk? Should you be worried if your current setup relies on it? And why are these companies suddenly rushing towards newer alternatives like WireGuard? In this video, we're going to break down exactly what is happening, the deadlines you need to know to avoid getting disconnected, and the technical reasons why the industry is turning its back on an old friend. Let's start with the most radical change, coming from the Sweden-based provider Mullvad. Mullvad has always been known for a very strict, no-nonsense approach to privacy and technology, often making decisions based purely on engineering efficiency rather than marketing. They have announced that they're removing support for OpenVPN entirely. This isn't a partial phase-out or a hidden setting. They're pulling the plug. According to their announcement, this change has taken full effect on January 15, 2026. If you're a Mullvad user, this is a hard deadline. On that date, OpenVPN servers were removed, and the option to use the protocol within their app has disappeared. Now, for most of you using their mobile apps on Android or iOS, you won't even notice a difference, because those apps are already exclusively using WireGuard. The impact here is primarily on desktop users, Windows, Mac, and Linux, who might still have OpenVPN selected in their settings, or people using manual configurations and routers. Why are they doing this? Mullvad has been signaling this shift for years. Their co-founder, Fredrik Stromberg, went on record as far back as 2017, saying that WireGuard is the future. Their argument boils down to resources and focus. Mullvad revealed that less than 7% of their user base is currently using OpenVPN. By dropping this legacy protocol, they can focus 100% of their engineering resources on WireGuard, which they believe is superior in every way. They're essentially saying that maintaining the old infrastructure is holding them back from making the new infrastructure better. On the other side of the spectrum, we have Proton VPN. Their approach is slightly different, but points in the same direction. Proton has announced that they're deprecating support for all manually downloaded OpenVPN configuration files that were issued before September 2023. If you're using one of these older files to run your VPN manually, perhaps on a router or a device that doesn't support the official app, you have until February 28, 2026 to update. After that date, those files will simply stop working. Proton is characterizing this move as a modernization effort. While they aren't completely killing OpenVPN support in the same way that Mullvad is doing right now, they're making it very clear that OpenVPN is considered legacy. They're pushing users towards their own proprietary stealth protocol, and of course, WireGuard. Proton's announcement specifically targets the manual configuration users. They emphasize that if you are using their official apps, the software handles a lot of this for you. But for the tinkerers, the people who set up their own home networks, this is a wake-up call. They're introducing new OpenVPN configuration files that are chemically different from the old ones. They're moving from an older encryption standard, AES-256-CBC, to the more modern AES-256-GCM. They're also upgrading the digital signatures and changing how the handshake works to protect against passive sniffing. So even within Proton's ecosystem, the old OpenVPN is being retired in favor of a patched version, while they simultaneously gently shove users towards WireGuard. Now that we know the what, we have to discuss the why. Why are these companies acting like OpenVPN is a burden? The answer lies in the code itself. OpenVPN is a beast. It has been around for a long time, and over the years it has accumulated a massive amount of features, patches, and compatibility options. In the software world, we call this Bloat. To give you a concrete comparison, the OpenVPN protocol consists of roughly 70,000 lines of code. This is a massive surface area. Every single line of code is a potential place for a bug, a vulnerability, or an exploit to hide. Auditing 70,000 lines of code requires an immense amount of time and money. It is heavy, it's complex, and it is difficult to maintain. Compare that to WireGuard. WireGuard was designed to be lean and mean. It consists of just about 4,000 lines of code. That is a staggering difference. It's like comparing a cruise ship to a speedboat. Because the codebase is so small, it is incredibly easy for security researchers to audit it. If there is a hole in the security, it's much easier to spot in 4,000 lines of code than 70,000. Mullvad explicitly cited this maintainability and simplicity as a key driver for their decision. They want to offer a service that is secure, and it is much harder to guarantee security on a sprawling complex codebase. Beyond just security auditing, there is the issue of performance. If you have ever used OpenVPN on a mobile device, you might have noticed your battery draining a bit faster or your connection speeds throttling down compared to your regular internet. This is because OpenVPN is chatty. The way it handles encryption and the handshake process, the way it connects to the server, is computationally expensive. Proton mentioned in their update that shifting to the newer encryption standards and eventually to WireGuard improves battery efficiency and data integrity. This is the practical side of the bloat problem. All the extra code and complexity requires more CPU power to process. WireGuard, being lighter, runs closer to the hardware. It connects faster, often instantly, and uses less battery power. In a world where we are streaming 4K video, gaming online, and working from coffee shops on battery power, efficiency is king. Protocols that were designed in the early 2000s just weren't built with modern mobile processors and gigabit internet speeds in mind. WireGuard was. This performance gap has become so wide that companies like Mullvad and Proton feel that keeping the old protocol around actually providing a subpar experience to their customers. This brings us to the core question of our video. Is OpenVPN unsafe? The short answer is no, not inherently. OpenVPN is still a very secure protocol when configured correctly. It uses strong encryption and it has withstood the test of time. Neither Mullvad nor Proton are saying that OpenVPN is broken or that hackers are currently exploiting it per se. However, there is a nuance here. Complexity is the enemy of security. While OpenVPN itself is secure, the complexity of configuring it makes it easier to make mistakes. It's hard to implement perfectly. The move by Proton to deprecate old config files proves this point. The old files used older encryption methods that, while not necessarily cracked, are not up to the modern best practices. They are susceptible to certain types of theoretical attacks that newer standards prevent. So the risk isn't that OpenVPN is a backdoor. The risk is that it is a heavy, aging fortress that requires constant and difficult maintenance to keep the wall standing. WireGuard is a modern bunker, simple, solid, and with fewer entry points to worry about. By ditching OpenVPN, these companies are reducing the risk of future vulnerabilities appearing in that massive haystack of code. We're looking at early 2026 as the deadline for both of these major shifts. February 28, 2026 for Proton users to update their files, and January 15th for Mullvad users to say goodbye to OpenVPN entirely. So what should you do? If you're a casual user who just downloads the app on Windows or your phone and clicks connect, you likely don't need to do anything. Most modern VPN apps, including those from NordVPN, Surfshark, and IPVanish, already default to WireGuard, or their own custom versions of it, like Nordlink's. The app handles the protocol selection for you. However, if you're a power user, listen up. If you have manually set up a VPN on your home router to cover your entire house, or if you're using a Linux terminal with custom scripts, you need to audit your setup. Check if you're using OpenVPN. If you are, check the date of your configuration files. If you're a Mullvad, you need to start planning your migration to WireGuard immediately. Mullvad has guides on their website for this. If you're on Proton, you need to log into your dashboard and download the new configuration files that support the safer encryption standards. So do not wait until the end of January 2026 to figure this out, or you might wake up one morning with no internet access. This transition signals a broader maturity in the privacy industry. We were moving away from the Wild West days, where we relied on patchy, heavy open-source tools, toward a more streamlined, professional era of cybersecurity. We saw this with the move from HTTP to HTTPS, and now we're seeing it with VPN tunneling. Mullvad has also made it easier to keep up with these changes by finally rolling out in-app updates for desktop. Previously, you had to go to their website to get the new version, which was a pain. Now Windows and Mac users can update directly in the app, and Linux users can use repositories. This ensures that you'll likely have the latest software that handles these transitions for you. It's rare to see a technology as dominant as OpenVPN get pushed aside, but it's necessary. Evolution in tech is inevitable. While we respect OpenVPN for getting us this far, the future clearly belongs to lighter, faster, and more auditable protocols. So to wrap things up, OpenVPN isn't a security hope, but it is becoming dead weight, leading the charge in shedding that weight to give us faster, more secure, and more efficient privacy tools. The deadlines are set for early 2026. If you're a set-it-and-forget-it user on a router, consider this your reminder to check your settings. We'll keep following this story as other providers likely follow suit. If two of the most privacy-centric companies are ditching the protocol, you can bet that others are looking at their own codebases and thinking about doing the same. Thanks for watching CyberInsider. Stay secure, keep your software updated, and I'll see you in the next video.